Good morning, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here at Yeshiva Samanashi in Yerushalayim Yer Kodesh. We're located in the Chanukah Yeshiva's Beit Knesset on Rehov Zikron Yaakov number 6. We're very close to the central bus station, so you're able to walk from there or bus or drive if you're driving. If you're coming from Chutz La'aretz, please be sure to join us. We'd love to have you participate in our shiurim. Today the first shiur of the day is Pirkei Avos. We're in the beginning of the first Pirkei. Moshe Kibul Torah B'Sinai. Mosra Yeshua. Yeshua is a Kenim Nevi'im. Nevi'im Mosra Ba'anshe Knesset HaGedolah. Heimar Mishosh Devarim. Hayim Mesum Bedin. Hamidim Harbe. Va'osu Sayeg L'Torah. So the questions asked. As the if in your edition here you have the Rav Bartanur, I think we mentioned this. See the Lashon Sinai. Why is it a reference to Sinai specifically? There are several things we can discuss about this. But if you take a look, I think if I'm mistaken, the Rav Bartanur right on the spot, the Sinai exactly. Yeah, just 3 words there. He's telling us Pashat Pshat. What is it referring to? The Sinai. The Rav Bartanur in your edition over there is at the back. There's a separate Yikut of the Rav Bartanur, the Sinai. Rafi, you see what it says there, Miss Sinai? Okay, what's
the mission Iglav the Sinai?
Oh, so how do we understand what that means? Mi sheniglo misinai.
To refer to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, maybe.
Oh, I would think so. Correct.
Mission Iglav the Sinai. Hashem. Ula, I don't know.
The going to show him.
Came a Kabbalah from Sinai.
Excuse me?
Came a Kabbalah from Sinai also, like Allah from Sinai.
Oh, well, okay, well,
At the time that the Tanai didn't sound.
that'll be, we'll discuss that aspect as well. That's another aspect, true, very true. Mimi shenigla bisinai. Now, be medayek in the lashon. Mimi shenigla bisinai, in Sinai, with the base beside. Our Mishnah, right? Moshe Kibul Torah Misinai. What's the difference between Mis Sinai and Bis Sinai?
Biz from Biz, yeah.
Yes. Oh, very good. Or at, or right. So this is a question that says not simply because of what the Rav Bartanur says, but it's a simple question that many of them are forcing. We'll try to speak out. We netted what I think the Sergeant Shuvas Madoni Yom Tovs mentions based on this lashon. So first of all, it's the Rav Bartanur is explaining to us that it was the Kabbalah Moshe received from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that took place bis Sinai, meaning at Sinai. In Sinai is a little bit difficult. The Mishnah could have said Moshe Kibul Torah bis Sinai, like the Rav Bartanur said, could have said like that. The Maharal Mefrag goes into this question. We'll try and speak a little bit about that. The Maharal Mefrag explains about this. It could have said Moshe Kibul Torah al Sinai, on Sinai. So, one point that the Maharal Mefrag asks and explains is as follows: why didn't it refer specifically to Kadosh Baruch Hu? The Rav Bartanur says Mis Sinai is reference to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Right? So I could have said Moshe Kibul Torah and Kadosh Baruch Hu, or Rebbeinu Sholem, whatever. Yudkei, Vavkei, whatever Lashon Kinui of the Shem the Chazal felt necessary to use. So why did in the Mishnah here the Chazal obviously went out of their way to use a different expression than the expression we'd have normally thought to best use, most accurately choose to use? Any idea?
Where are you calling from, Madani Yom Tov?
Madani Yom Tov is in his house in Shuvisa, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not quoting this. We'll get in what? No.
in the Gemara, like.
No. We'll maybe get to that later today. We're right now speaking a little bit about what the Maharam in Prague is in his Parish on Avos. Derech HaChayim.
It's separate section.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something that similar, that the midos that Pirkei Avos comes to teach us are as important and as fundamental as the laws we learned at Sinai. They have the same status.
Okay. Now, could
I don't
you be
think so.
referring to a little bit what the Rav Barton said in the previous? We didn't do this inside. Maybe I wanted to do it eventually, but maybe now since you mention it, why don't we look at the first Rav Barton and then tell me if what Rav Barton says is what you were saying, because I'm not sure. Right.
Okay.
So go ahead, Lauren. Take a look at the first Rav Barton.
Okay, Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai. Moshe received the Torah at Sinai. Omar Ani, I say.
Actually, it's literally, we want to say mis Sinai, from Sinai, meaning, because if we're going to be Medayik in the Mem and the base, so we'll try and, at least because it's going to be relevant to our discussions later on, no problem.
Sinai from Sinai. Omar Ani, I say, Lefi Shemasecha Zu Ina Misuderes al Perush Mitzvahs Mitzvah Mitzvahs Torah Kishar Masechtas Shevi Mishnah. Since this Masechta is not coming to explain mitzvahs as the other Masechtas.
It's not founded on the explanation of mitzvahs, as other Masechtas are.
Elo Kulo Musar Midos, it's all Musar and Midos. The Hachme Umos Olam Gam Kain Hebrew Sforim Kamo Shabadu Milibam V'Darchem Lasurin. The Goyim, the wise people in the Goyim will also produce books on Musar and
like
Musar.
character development and interpersonal relations. Right?
Ketzad Yahan Yisaneg Adam Imavera, how a person should act with his friends. Leficha Chizkiel Hatana B'Mesechta Zu. Therefore, the Tana begins this Masechta. Moshe Kibel Torah Mi Sinai. Moshe received the Torah from Sinai. Lomar, which comes to say, Shamidos V'Hamosrim Shebezu Masechta. The Midos and the Musa, they're in this Masechta. Lo Bato Osam Hachmim Hamishna Miliban were not derived by the wise men of the Mishnah on their own, from their hearts. El Af Elu Nemru B'Sinai. These also were said at Sinai.
Very good.
Not quite what I was going to say. Because
good. I thought not, but I wanted to make sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Rav Barton says yes. Moshe learned these also. But that just goes with Moshe and Kol Torah Kulo. He learned, Torah Sam Shobal Ped. This is Torah Shobal Ped. So obviously he learned it. But the fact that the Rav is emphasizing in Sinai, maybe he wants to. Moshe learned lots of things, He wants to add some chashivas to this also. That these are, the Musar and the Midos here are really fundamental to your becoming an Eved Hashem. You can't do it with, it's not halacha, it's not, how you keep Shabbos and how you shake a lulav or anything like that. But if you don't have the proper midos, no matter what you do, your avoda is missing to some extent. So, he gives, the chashivas to the midos here. If you develop your midos and you follow these rules, that will enhance your avoda and come to fulfill it to the best way you can.
Okay. So therefore, know that this was also given to Moshe Rabbeinu, to Klal Yisrael, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu at Har Sinai. And this should also, you should understand, is as valid, authentic, and certified and authoritative as anything else that comes to us through Moshe Rabbeinu from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And but you were saying something a bit different from what now. Okay, that's the Rav more or less. Now, what was your explanation? What's
I just the importance of the midos and the musar in developing your avodas Hashem.
Right.
It's not just, there are different ways, I guess in some ways there are different ways to fulfill your avoda, and so to quote, there are better ways and less better ways of doing it, and by developing your midos according to what we see in Pirkei Avos, you develop your avodas Hashem will improve and be closer to the ideal, I think.
Okay. Let me expand a few moments on what you're saying. Rav Chaim Vital in Shara Kedusha is the question: how come we don't see Mephorish specifically in the Torah a mitzvah of Tikkun Midos? Tikkun Midos. As a matter of fact, the Vilna Gaon says Shviras Hamidus, the breaking of a person's personality traits. Right, meaning the ones that have to be broken, like the ones that are detrimental, kas and taiv and gaiva and kina, kavod, and those you have to break them and control them and channel them properly. And the ones that you have that are good, so you have to improve upon them and build upon them. That's and the Vilna Gaon says Shvir Samidus is the tachlis of Torah, and then if a person's not going to overcome his midos, lama lichai, what's he alive for? What's he alive for? More than that, Rabbi Yerucham says we'll be coming to it starting Parshas Shmos next week after this coming Shabbos. So in Parshas Parshas the Shkolim, the giving of the Metzes Shekel. So Rabbi Yerucham writes there in his story, he says every mitzvah of the Torah has a tachlis of working on a person's midos to give a person a nesoyin. If there was no nesoyin involved, it wouldn't be a mitzvah. So when it comes to giving the maxis a shekel, right? So he asked the question as follows: to give a half a shekel, okay, so you have to give the pasuk explains, right, and it's explained to us that whether a person's rich, whether a person's poor, everyone has to give a maxis shekel, a half a shekel. Everyone, whatever their station and monetary status in life is, they have to give a half a shekel. So he understands that an ani to dig deep down and get a half a shekel, right? That's a big nesoyin. Some could be his bread money. It could be his breakfast of the day to give that maxis shekel. That could be a very big nesoyin for him. But for a rich person, what is a half a shekel for a rich person? It's penny change. So what could possibly be the kavanah of the Torah to have a rich person own?
He wants to give more.
Why?
And you're telling him, even you're a rich person, you can't give any more than anybody else.
Very good.
It's Isurim.
Very good. So why does he want to give more? Why does he want to give more?
Because I guess it's maybe better. I don't know.
He has what to give.
First, he has what to give, right? He has what to give. And Rabbi Yerucham says a little bit further, a little bit deeper. He says that see, every person, what they're given in life is given to them as tools for their perfection in life. A person's given them a status of being not so rich, or medium Benini, or is being extremely wealthy. Each person, whatever they have to achieve in this world, they're given their station in life. Okay, and Ein Mazel Yisrael, a person can change his situation to some respects. Although in terms of some things, it's not simply possible. The Eben Ezra said about himself. The Eben Ezra, you notice in the Nikmish Gedolos, he has a parish. Eben Ezra, one of the Rishonim. He was very, very poor, extremely poor. He said about himself that if he would make tachrichim, right, people would stop dying, and if he became a candle maker, the sun would never set. He understood his situation so clearly that he understood this was his perfect situation, and even as much as he would pray for it, nothing would change. Sometimes it's the way it is. Hashem's geyser, person has to be in this situation. But whatever the situation is, the person has to use that situation. Sometimes it's to pray, to change the situation. Sometimes it's to make best with what you have. Whatever the person has to realize and do, whatever means, asking God's Torah, Rebbein, what his station in life is, how can he best progress and grow, and what he is given in right Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the Usher Rabbi Yerucham explains the rich person is given his wealth in order that he should, as you said, Ratman, to spend it. And if he's not allowed to spend it, that is limiting him in his expression, his self-expression. right? So therefore, that's the sign for a person who is rich and giving the half a shekel. Well, that's fine. So Shviras Hamikdash, getting back to what the Vilna Gaon. So the Vilna Gaon says Shviras Hamikdash is the tachlis of Torah and Chaim. And the person's not going to change his midos. Malami Chaim, what's he alive for? So that's what Rabbi Chaim Vital is asking. Why don't we see therefore a mitzvah meforeshes, a specific mitzvah of Shviras Hamikdash, of controlling your midas in the Torah? We'd expect to see that, but we don't see any remez. Maybe the remazim we do see. We can't find remaz, that's clear. But a specific mitzvah you don't see. So he says that all the mitzvahs are outcomes of a person's midos. When a person has to keep Shabbos, so that is causing him to withdraw from his activities in the world, right? So he can't go forward with all his activities. So he has to control himself. So that's all the mitzvahs in one way or another. As Rabbi Yukim was saying, mitzvahs all are impinging upon a person's personality, his character traits, his personality, to affect him in some way or another. So therefore, Rav Chaim Vital explains that it's so basic to the Torah. You see, certain things are so basic to Torah, it's not possible one specific mitzvah to give a command for this particular thing. It's pervasive throughout the whole Torah, so therefore the Torah doesn't give you a specific mitzvah for that. That's something
similar to the Rambam does not count Yishuv Eretz Yisrael among the mitzvahs. You can't fulfill the Torah.
Yeah, the whole Torah. That's the whole Torah is based on living in Eretz Yisrael. So that's where it's not. Right. It's just so pervasive that it's beyond the Taryag mitzvahs. It encompasses all of them. Same, very, very good, very same way. Oh, so we say here that the Rav Bartner in the very beginning is telling us that all the lessons that we're going to be taught here in Pirkei Avos are coming to us through the Kabbalah we have from Moshe Rabbeinu, from the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that took place at Har Sinai. Okay, very good. Okay, so now let's therefore go back to what we were explaining, that the Rav Bartanur said that the Moshe Kibul Torah Sinai, that's a reference Mimi Sinai, from Sinai, Mimi Shenigla Sinai, from he who was revealed. That's in the Rav Bartanur, right? Rav Bartanur, the second one. We just did the long one and then the short one. We just in very simple words. Sinai. What's the pshat in the Mishnah? Sinai. Mimi Shenigla Sinai. From he who was being the Kadosh Baruch Hu, who was revealed to us, to Klal Yisrael, and to Moshe Rabbeinu at Har Sinai. So with this, that's a reference to Kadosh Baruch Hu. We can understand a little bit what the Maral Miprag in his Parish on Avos is explaining to us. Why doesn't it make a specific reference to Kadosh Baruch Hu? Clearly, according to the Rav Bartner, it's a reference, it's a hint, but it's teaching us much more. And according to the Maral Miprag, it would be even a bit misleading if it said Kadosh Baruch Hu, because if it said Moshe Kibul Torah Kadosh Baruch Hu, that the Maral is saying basically, the way I understand it, it wouldn't be exactly true. Because in truth, everyone in Klal Yisrael who was there at the time, and he knew the Meforshim explain all the neshamas of all the Jews that were there, all generations were there at Har Sinai. We all said Naaseh v'Nishma, and we all, in one way or another, heard at least the first two Dibros, right? And then Moshe, we couldn't handle it anymore. We asked Moshe Rabbeinu to now be more or less an intermediary between the Kadosh Baruch Hu and us. But we were there zoiche to the Gili Shechina that took place at Sinai. And had it said a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right, that would be limiting the Maimon Har Sinai that took place. That we mistakenly thought that only Moshe Rabbeinu was there. Only Moshe Rabbeinu was makabel the Torah from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore, we say Sinai, right? Sinai, which was a remez to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, to avoid the misunderstanding that we would say that maybe only Moshe Rabbeinu was the one who was makabel Torah in Sinai.
Would say Kadosh Baruch Hu would be like a more open Gilui, which only Moshe Rabbeinu had.
Right. That's one of the aspects. Now, the lesson bis Sinai, that's how the Rav says, right? Bis Sinai. Here you can say bis Sinai. Bis Sinai is at Sinai. When it didn't, and it didn't say mis Sinai from Sinai, meaning the mis Sinai means from Sinai. So the the Maharal also mentions, why do we have to mention anything about Har Sinai? Meaning, it could have been the Midbar Sinai. It could have been
any place in the Midbar.
yeah. Meaning, there was a special makom that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted the Klal Yisrael to and Moshe Rabbeinu to be makabel the Torah, right? And that also is something which is specific to the Kabbalah that took place. Meaning, it was a direct, intentional relevation of Torah to Moshe Rabbeinu and to Klal Yisrael. It wasn't something which happened happenstance. It was something which was planned, right? And it was a place that they were going to. They camped there. They were told to camp there. They came to the Midbar Sinai, and it was a specific situation that Hashem wanted to create, and that had been created. Okay. Now, what's the difference between Mis Sinai, from Sinai, and Bis Sinai, at Sinai? So the Shashu Madani Yom Tov, if I'm correct, explains as follows. There are many halachas that were given to Klal Yisrael and Bnei Noach before the time of Har Sinai, right? For example, by Mara, we were given Kibbutz Aim, we were given Shabbos, right? The Ben Noach was Bnei right? Many halachas. All the halachas that were given to humanity and to Klal Yisrael specifically before Matan Torah had to be reinstated with the new status of coming to halacha Moshe Sinai as Torah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Klal Yisrael. There were the 7 mitzvahs B'nai Noah, which we were all obligated to, and others that we were obligated to even before Har Sinai. Nevertheless, without them being restated, there was Bris Milah, Avraham was knowing Bris Milah, and of course all his children were knowing Bris Milah, right? And it was taken on as a mitzvah. But it had to be restated in one way or another, right, within the context of the Kabbalah of Torah at Har Sinai. The Naseh V'Nishma that we said.
Gidon Noshe.
Gidon Noshe also.
Actually, not mentioned again.
Yeah, that is, whether they actually repeat it again, Mefurish or not, that's a separate question, a separate shayla. But all of the mitzvahs that we, every mitzvah had to be
they gave the whole Torah we see now from Revelation.
Right. Some things had to be right because it was once it was written as a Torah at that point, then it was like reinstated. But if it hadn't been restated and reinstated at the time of Har Sinai, then it would have had it would be a tzivoy from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to, let's say, humanity in general, but it wouldn't be a specific tzivoy for Klal Yisrael as Am Hashem. So at the time of Har Sinai,
Verified, I think they call it.
Yeah, that's right. And now within we call it upgraded. We would upgrade it to the level of Torah Hashem to Klal Yisrael at Har Sinai. It needed to have that certification, that upgrade. Needed to have that certification. And therefore, the Lashon Misanai from Sinai, meaning he learns from Sinai and on, meaning there was a change in the relevance and the authenticity of mitzvahs after the Kabbalah Torah from Sinai and onward. So that's what they wanted to Mirames also in the Lashon, right? Moshe Kibul Torah Misinai from Sinai and on, right? There was a new acceptance of all the Torah and all the mitzvahs that were contained in the Torah, even though they may have been said previously to say B'nai Noach, to Avram Avinu, right? All these things had to be upgraded to the status of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, giving his Torah specific to the Yisrael. Okay, so that's the situation with.
So this became like the Klal Yisrael.
This specifically became right. For example, a non-Jew that keeps Shabbos, right, learns Torah.
But these Lidis maybe.
Oh, so
more for Klal Yisrael, the whole University.
Yeah, so right.
A lot of it.
Right. I mean, again, the midas that we're referring to, that'll be the midas that we'll be discussing throughout Pirkei Avos. But it's also the whole Torah, as the Rabbeinu Yonah said, we learned yesterday, that Rabbeinu Yonah said specifically, Torah, Moshe Kibul Torah, that's Torah Shebiksav and Torah Sheba'al Peh, right? So everything that Moshe Rabbeinu received was Mar Sinai, was Mar Sinai, and the question that they're asking, what we just the Rav Bartner, the first one we read, is the question is why does we have to have this Havdama? No, the Masechta you have Moshe Kibul Torah Sinai and Moshe Yeshua, and Yeshua is again the Nevi'im and the Nevi'im Moshe Lanshik and Asas Gadol. You don't see such a yichus, a lineage of the transmission of Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu all the way down the line. Why specifically here by Avos? So that's what the Rav Bartanor and many others, almost all of them ask the question and give the basic, the same reason is because you might think, since these things, as the Rav Bartanor said, that the Havdil, just like they have self-improvement books and advice and getting along with people, so you might think that all the lessons that were being taught by the Tanoim here in Avos might be a Havdil, Elef Havdil is similar to those things, and that just like they just invent things, whatever seems to be in fashion and logical to them at the time that they're writing and thinking about these things, you would think maybe these things are the same way. He says, no, Has Shalom, these things are Kabbalah, Moshe Sinai. And he goes even further, if I'm not mistaken, the Randani Yontav explains further that all the midas that we have throughout all halacha, right? Everything came to us through Moshe Sinai. I mean, there's a mikveh has to be Arbayim Saw, right? Tum Shabbos has to be Alpayim Amos. These were not things that Chazal went and measured and decided on their own. These are logical things to do. These were the halachas, the laws, the specific measurements and requirements for all, even physical things. You have to eat a kazaf, you have to have a kazayas to be chayev, malchus or something, or misa has v'sholem, right? Or kazayas matzah, why kazayas matzah, why today pras, right? These were not things which were simply invented by Chazal has v'sholem. These are things that were given to Klal Yisrael from Moshe Rabbeinu, who received it directly from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So that's very basic to understand.
There's still a chilik, I mean, he was trying to say also.
Yeah.
Between a halacha that you have to do, which some of it is like, example, well, that's not everybody, you know. Some people who don't. It's just some of it is only like.
Well, look, just like after.
They're not so specific.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's something which has to be understood within its specific context. For example, even listening to a shofar, you have to take within its specific context. You can blow a shofar today, tomorrow it's not going to be a mitzvah. So every person, everything that's going to be learning has to be taken within its specific context.
Snei is urbanus.
Right.
That's not too popular around here, you know.
No. I mean, first of all, it's only so. I mean, first of all, it has to be sunis or rabbanis. So a person who's never opened your day, so he has no shaykhis to rabbanis. So again, what's the relevancy to someone who rabban? What rabbanis? No one's going to come ask me to be a rabbi. I don't know from Basar B'Chala from Ribbis. So what are they asking me questions for? So obviously, we have to take things within the context. Again, there are certain things like Kohen, there are halachas in Torah, before it's halachas in Torah, for Kohanim, for Levim, which for me Yisrael has no relevance to. So again, everything has to be taken within its context and its understanding. But the basic understanding we have to realize is that all these things came specifically from Har Sinai. It's divine from the Kadosh Baruch Hu, just as any other mitzvah in the Torah would be.
But it probably came right away as not so clear cut as other mitzvahs.
Yeah, whatever.
Some mitzvahs are clear cut, and some mitzvahs are as
well, I mean, again,
Gaiv and Kas, and all that is by everybody all different.
Well, I mean, one Balgaiva is another someone else's Balgaiva. Everyone, to try and realize who and what they are. Okay, Mitzvah Shem will stop here and start Mr.